My name's Senator Confidential, and I want to talk about fantasy football 2024. All right, so I've been playing fantasy football for a long time. I've been wanting to do fantasy football content for a while, and I just kind of haven't stuck with it. Whether it's the video ideas that I've put out, just haven't gotten connections and clicks, or just I just hadn't stuck with it. So what I want to do is I want to do a combination of talking about my league that I'm in this year, and my thought process going into the draft beforehand, the team that I got after the fact, and then just kind of my approach on that, as well as just kind of building up the confidence in you guys, in me, in just my abilities and just my mindsets in fantasy football. So going into the fantasy football draft this year, it's a 12-man league, one quarterback, two running backs, three receivers, one tight end, a flex, a defense, and a kicker. I had the 6th pick out of 12. The entire time, I was just locked and loaded. I'm like, all right, I'm going Amon-Ra St. Brown. If I don't go St. Brown, because it's starting 3 wide receivers, I don't necessarily know if I want to go Breece or Bijan, even though I'm a Jets fan, diehard Jets fan. I had Breece last year. I loved it. I had Breece, ironically, Breece and Bijan last year. I was definitely a fan of it, but because of just, now I'm experienced with 3 wide receivers, I kind of wanted to go receiver heavy. So I didn't know if I necessarily wanted to go if I wanted to go running back and go receivers. So I was kind of, contemplating, like, do I want to reach on Garrett if somehow Amon-Ra's gone? I don't want to take a chance on Chase. Do I want to go Jefferson? But the guy before me, he's a Vikings fan. So once again, know your league at all times. Know your league. Understand who you're playing against. Understand the format. The team structure, as well as just obviously your opponents and their tendencies. So I doubted that Jefferson was going to be there. I knew Tyreek was going to be gone because the guy who drafted 101 was a Dolphins fan, so I knew he was going Tyreek. You had to assume that CMC was going to go 2, if not 3 at the latest. I assumed Lamb was going to go 2 or 3, roughly there. Jefferson with the top 5. So I was like, all right, so either Breece, and if someone takes a chance on Chase, then Breece might fall to me at 6 if I don't get St. Brown, if he gets sniped. So I was just kind of contemplating on there. But when we go up, it goes Tyreek Hill, it goes CMC, then it went Bijan, guy on auto draft, and Bijan. So I'm the commissioner of the league, and I kind of release, I kind of give a standard top 300 from ESPN every year, even though we draft on Sleeper, just because it's what I've been doing every time. It's consistent. And anyone on auto draft, at least at the beginning, just highest ranked, and then we kind of build the team around it. Everyone kind of agrees. Stuff can get vetoed if we think otherwise. Et cetera, et cetera. So Bijan went 3rd, then Justin Jefferson went 4th, which was really surprising to me, and then 5th. Since the Vikings fan I said was a 5th, he was expecting on going Jefferson. Now I was in a position where I'm like, all right, well, he's gonna go Lamb, cool. He goes Breece Hall, so CeeDee Lamb drops to me at 6, which I was shocked about. Granted, he was still holding out, but I had absolutely no worries about him holding out. Obviously, week 1, we're going to see exactly how he does. Knock on wood for injuries, etc. But in terms of just season long, barring a season long injury or just a nagging injury, throughout the entire season, I was like, wow, I ran CeeDee Lamb up there. I literally did thousands of mock drafts on the Fantasy Pros as well as the Sleeper app, and every once in a while, CD would fall to me at 6, and I would just literally reset. I'm like, there's no shot. So when CD fell to me at 6, I was shocked. So round 2 was coming along, and the entire time I had DJ Moore as my number one. Hey, this is who I want on my team. I was just contemplating back and forth, do I want to just take him at 2? Because I'm really big on the Bears offense. I'm really big on Caleb Williams this year. I'm a Jets fan, but I live in the Chicagoland area, so I'm not a Bears fan in the slightest. I hate Bears fans, to be honest, but real recognizes real. I was I'm really under the impression, still am, the strong impression that DJ Moore is going to be fantastic and the Bears offense is going to be good. I'm not as high on Keenan Allen, and I know Roman Dunes is going to take a while. And, if you look at the tendencies, regardless of how well a rookie quarterback does, no matter what, they latch onto 1, maybe 2 guys at most. So I was like, DJ Moore is going to be his 1, and then either, Keenan Allen underneath, or, maybe even Cole Kmet or Swift out of the backfield. You know what I mean? So I was like, I have faith that DJ Moore is that. But lo and behold, Puka Nacua falls to me at number 6 in round 2. So once again I had to run that up there. CeeDee Lamb and Puka Nacua. Yeah, sure, we got the bursitis in his knee, but I'm not really worried about that in the slightest. Again, as of right now, he just got cleared 100%. He's going to play, no issues. Maybe they scale it back a little bit, but scaling back from his first game of 14 targets or 14 catches, so it's like scaling it back is whatever. And I'm not really worried about the Cooper Kupp. competition. I definitely think it's going to be a 1A, 1B type, or 1A, 2A type of situation, like just 2As. Stafford's going to want to throw it out. He's got no one else aside from those two. Higbee, is he still even their tight end? Demarcus Robinson as their 3. Kyron Williams out the backfield, but he's going to be too tired from returning punts. So I'm not really worried about that in the slightest. So I ran up Puka Nacua in round 3. So I was like, or round 2. So I was like, all right, cool. Wow. Barring something crazy happening in round 3, DJ Moore's going to fall to me in round 3. So I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, DJ Moore. Lo and behold, on the turnaround, the Vikings fan right before me, takes Snipes DJ Moore for me. I was shocked. I was flabbergasted. So at the point, I'm a little panicky. I'm really high on Michael Pittman because I had him last year. I just don't know exactly how he's going to fare with Anthony Richardson. I'm also high on A.D. Mitchell this year because I do expect a lot of deep balls. But at that point, I was kind of going with my gut and going with my personal board, and Michael Pittman was high up on there, even though it's a tentative high. But I'm high on the player, so I'm just taking a chance. And at that point, when I already have CeeDee Lamb and Puka Nacua, and it was between Achane and Michael Pittman, and A, as a Jets fan, where I don't want to root for Dolphins, and B, I just don't have faith in Achane season long, that I just don't want him to be my RB1. I don't want him to be my 3rd round pick. So I went with the tiebreaker, and I went with Michael Pittman. But I'm really excited because even if Michael Pittman scores 10 to 12 a game, he's my wide receiver 3. I'm not really worried about that. And, Puka and CeeDee are going to average 16 to 18 minimum a game. So it all balanced out in the end. So then we go around to round 4, and at this point, this is where I'm shocked. Sam Laporta falls to me in round 4, and I had Sam Laporta last year. I picked him up on waivers, and him and T.J. Hawkinson helped me, ride all the way to the end until playoffs. When Dak's only bad game the entire season after week 8 was the game that was the first week of playoffs, and that screwed me because everyone else snapped, and my opponent's team snapped on the whole. But anyway, so I went Sam Laporta. I wasn't going to go Sam Laporta in round 2, and I wasn't going to go Sam Laporta in round 3, but Kelsey went at the end of round 2 or the beginning of round 3. At the end of round 3 or the beginning of round 4. So Sam Laporta made to me in the middle of round 4, and at that point I'm like, whatever, dude, let's go. So then we go back into round 5, and at that point I'm like, all right, I'm thinking our running backs, but once again, I have my deeper running backs, which you'll see who I got later on, and you're either going to agree with me or disagree, but that's part of the strategy. So at that point I'm contemplating quarterback, and I already went my tight ends, so receiver, quarterback essentially, unless someone falls to me at running back that I really really love. But in round 5, I'm 2 picks away, and Jalen Hurts still on the board. I'm like, yo, Jalen Hurts is going to fall to me in round 5, because it's crazy because the year before, the guy who had the 12th pick, which ironically he won, I'll give him credit for that, he won the league, but he went Jalen Hurts at the 112. This year he did the same thing, but with Mahomes. So we literally didn't have another quarterback. Well, I think Allen went maybe in round 4. So this is going to round 5. The Vikings guy, he takes Jalen Hurts. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm looking at the board. I'm like, at this point, I'm all for the high upside. Lamar Jackson was there. I've never had Lamar Jackson in any of my teams, so I'm like, let's go Lamar Jackson. So I got CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman, Sam Laporta, and Lamar Jackson. I have the chance to have 2 top 5 receivers, which one of them arguably could be the number 1 receiver by the end of the year, the arguable tight end number 1, and then possibly the quarterback 1, and he's coming off an MVP season. So I'm like, I had to go Lamar Jackson at that point. So then we go into round 6, and at that point, I honestly didn't know where I wanted to go. The running backs, I just didn't love them again, so I just wanted to finish out my flex. I went George Pickens. I'm really high on George Pickens because you got to think about the 2 things that Justin Fields and Russell Wilson do best. Russell Wilson has a starting job, but him and regardless of who wins it by the end of the year, they pretty much have the same overall strength, and that's that deep ball. And then George Pickens is fantastic at catching those deep balls, and in the flex, that's all you want. You're looking for a touchdown upside. You're either looking for touchdown upside, or you're looking for 6 and 6. What is that? 12? You know what I mean? 6 and 60, 12 points, or touchdown. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely completely fine with George Pickens in my flex. So I went with that, and then we finally are going running backs. Back-to-back rounds, I go Najee Harris and Javonte Williams, 2 guys that I 100% wanted as my running backs. Regardless, I'm really high on Najee Harris. I'm an Alabama fan. Roll Tide. I'm a Jets fan, so I'm not just saying I'm a fan of all the cool teams. But I love Najee Harris. I've loved him all. His entire career. He's had 1,000 yards. His efficiency is not the highest, but at the end of the day, you just want someone who's going to get a workload. And with Jaylen Warren dealing with all of his stuff with his hamstring, regardless of whether he's going to play or not, it's nagging. So I don't think at any point he's going to take over Najee's workload. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna have the upside of touchdowns from Najee, and then worst case scenario, 50 yards, 4 or 5 catches. So if he can average 10 points a game with my receivers, quarterback, and tight end, I'm fine with that. And then Javonte Williams, honestly, I'm just looking for a whole bounce back. I'm big on the Broncos offense this year, similar to what I am with the Bears. I think that people are forgetting just how good of a coach Sean Payton is. He has a full 2 years now under his belt, kind of resetting what the Broncos had from Nathaniel Hackett, RIP, Jets offense without Rodgers. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling, and obviously he's not dealing with Russell with all, their clashing ideologies or whatever went on there. He's got Bo Nix that he can mold from the beginning. It's not a coincidence he's starting Bo Nix. Obviously Bo Nix played really well in the preseasons, but it's not a coincidence that he's starting Bo Nix, because he kind of just wants to shape him from jump. So he's got Courtland Sutton, but aside from Courtland Sutton, he doesn't really have anything else. They got rid of Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims. Who knows what he's going to be? And then obviously tight ends, etc. We don't know. So Javonte Williams, I'm just expecting a lot of dump offs. If I could get 3 or 4 catches a game from Javonte, 60 yards, you know what I mean? That's 10 points roughly. Almost 10 points. So once again, if I can average 20 points combined minimum out of my running backs, and then I can get over 100, 115 points from the rest of my starters, I'm averaging 120, 130 bare minimum. Baseline. You know what I mean? So I'm really happy with that. And then we go to the kicker. My league, I already know my league, so I was already planning for this. It gets to the point where we always do live drafts, and everyone is kind of, fed up, drunk, tired, etc., etc. So we always jump the ship on kickers and tight ends early. Kickers and defenses early. Justin Tucker goes off the board in round 8. I think round 8 or round 9. So at that point, I'm like, F it. I'm going Brandon Aubrey because Brandon Aubrey's the guy I want, especially now that I think that Dallas's offense is going to take a step down in terms of touchdowns. I think that Brandon Aubrey is just going to be the exact same, if not better, and have more opportunities to kick field goals. And we already know that this guy can just, beast it out and kick, all the field goals. He finished, I think, number 2 as the kicker last year, and that was because the offense was so good scoring touchdowns. So as long as CeeDee Lamb gets his touchdowns and Brandon Aubrey can get his kicks, I'm really happy with how that offense is going to go. And then the defense, at that point, a couple of the defense I wanted got sniped, so I kind of waited out. So then I went in my bench. I'm a real big fan of Rome Odunze, like I was kind of talking about, of the Bears offense. I think that it's going to go DJ Moore alpha year long, and then Rome Odunze is going to pick it up in the second half of the year. So if Michael Pittman doesn't work for me, or if, knock on wood, something happens to CeeDee Lamb, hamstring, he misses a game or whatever, or Puka, that knee does come up on him, or George Pickens is just all miss, and that Steelers offense bad, boom, Rome Odunze can jump in there. And then I'm super, super, super high on Brian Thomas Jr., BTJ. This is a guy that I was like, no matter what, I need him on my team, even if I have to reach. Luckily, that by the time I was like ready to get him on my team, the board just kind of lined up that I'm like, I technically did reach, but it was like later. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, I got everyone I need. All my other backup running back stuff, they're gonna be flyers. So it's kind of it was just my approach, and it worked out perfectly. So I'm really excited about that. Then I went Chase Brown. Zach Moss is already gone, so I was between the two of who I wanted, especially for a backup. At the end of the day, Najee is a workhorse, never missed a game, aside from I think one game maybe from like a toe or something like that. You know what I mean? So I'm not really worried about him missing a game if he's not as efficient. I kind of went in with that with my my lineup structure, and then aside from the season-long injury, Javonte is not, his rookie season, I'm pretty sure he played every game. So I'm not really worried about that. So I'm looking for the upside of just, latter half season stuff. So Chase Brown. Then I went Chuba Hubbard. God forbid something, Javonte Williams or Najee, something happens, or they just stink it up and they're not averaging their 10 points, they're 20 points combined. Then, at least Chuba Hubbard, that's an option. And then in the bench, I had Trey Benson. Post season, I dropped him and I went with Rico Dowdle. At that point, I'm just like, let me just kind of guarantee I have early season stuff as a mixture of early season replacements as well as just kind of latter season upside. And then I went the Texans defense. I dropped them, and then I went with the Saints defense because they're playing Carolina. So boom, there's that. So just a reminder of my team. I have Lamar Jackson, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, George Pickens, Puka in the flex for week 1 because they played the Sunday night game. Always reminder, put your later games in the flex, barring, any last minute tweaks, injuries, deaths in the family, etc. Sam Laporta is tight end. Brandon Aubrey is my kicker, and now I have the Saints defense as my defense. And I'm going up against the other guy who I genuinely think is one of the better players on the team. He kind of is like me, where it's like, something bad happens in the season. That's the only reason that we're not like always like top guys. But obviously, you look at his team. We draft really well. His starting quarterback is Kyler Murray. His 2 running backs are Jonathan Taylor and Rachaad White. He's the guy who got Amon-Ra St. Brown because I let him fall. Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle are his other 2 receivers. Trey McBride, kind of similar to me with Sam Laporta. Trey McBride fell. James Conner, he's gotten his flex this week, which is interesting. He's got Dustin Hopkins. He's a Browns fan, so he pretty much always goes to Browns kicker. Bengals defense against the Patriots, he picked up because initially he drafted the Chiefs defense, but they're playing Baltimore. And then just on his bench, just to showcase kind of who he's going up against, or who he chose versus who he is sitting. He's got Justin Herbert on the bench and McConkey, which is a good stack on his bench. He's got Khalil Shakir and then Cole Kmet as well as the Chiefs defense. And then he's got Jonathan Brooks, which is doing the pup, which is how he picked up Bengals defense. So as of right now, based on Sleeper, I am projected to score 137.58 points, and he's projected to score 137.77 points. So obviously, Sleeper knows that we're two of the 3 high-scoring teams projection week one. If you look at I was on Fantasy Pros. I don't pay, but I guess I got 1 free grade. But I submitted my team on there, and I got an A+. So comment below your guys' thoughts on my team. Lamar Jackson, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Pittman, George Pickens, Sam Laporta, Puka Nacua, Brandon Aubrey, and the Saints defense, as well as just my odds against my matchup going up against Kyler Murray, Jonathan Taylor, Rachaad White, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Trey McBride, James Conner, Dustin Hopkins, and the Bengals defense. So this is my first video this year talking about fantasy football. This is my team and my matchup, pre-draft, post-draft, kind of my thought process. I'm going to follow along this entire the entire season, and as kind of attention builds up, I'll kind of talk more on my opinions, because at the end of the day, there's plenty of fantasy football stuff out there. I know that's not just me. Obviously, it's definitely not just me, especially because I'm just kind of trying to start. But I kind of want to build up a community and people just that kind of are looking for my opinion. So here we go. So Henry Confidential, good luck you week 1, fantasy football. Let's go.